Deep in the Amazon, a single man's obsession would rewrite history. His name was Colonel Percy Fawcett, a legendary explorer who vanished without a trace. By the end of this story, you will understand the incredible truth his disappearance ultimately revealed, a truth that forced scientists to rethink an entire continent. What was the desperate final act that exposed a lost civilization, and why did it take nearly a century to uncover what Fawcett died trying to prove? How far would you go in pursuit of a legend that could consume you completely? Percy Fawcett was not a man who merely explored maps. He was a man who erased their blank spaces. As a topographical surveyor for the Royal Geographical Society, his job was to chart the unknown borders of South America, a task that demanded a constitution of iron. He could march for weeks through flooded forests, fend off swarms of insects, and survive on minimal rations, earning a legendary reputation for toughness that made his colleagues marvel. But it was during these grueling surveys that he first began to piece together a puzzle that would consume the rest of his life. He started hearing whispers from local guides, stories passed down through generations about a magnificent lost city, hidden in the deepest, most inaccessible parts of the jungle. They spoke of tall stone towers, wide roads, and immense wealth, a sophisticated civilization they sometimes called the City of Z. For Fawcett, these were not just campfire tales. They were clues. His belief was cemented by an ancient document he discovered, a manuscript from 1753 written by a Portuguese explorer who claimed to have found a bustling, populous city with a vibrant culture in the heart of the Amazon. While other scholars dismissed the account as fantasy, Fawcett clung to it as proof. This was no longer just a professional survey mission. It had become a sacred quest. The idea of Z transformed in his mind from a point on a map into a personal destiny, an obsession that would push him to risk everything for a single, glorious truth he believed was waiting beneath the jungle canopy. The obsession that had fueled Percy Fawcett for years was about to become a family affair. In April of 1925, he stood ready for his final, most ambitious expedition into the Amazon. This time, he would not be traveling with seasoned adventurers. His team consisted of just two people, his 21-year-old eldest son, Jack, and Jack's best friend, Raleigh Rimmell. They were young, fit, and utterly devoted to Fawcett's vision. Their equipment was a testament to his meticulous, if unorthodox, planning. They carried cutting-edge, for the time, wireless technology to send messages, heavy surveying tools, and provisions meant to last for months, all hauled on their own backs to avoid the perceived unreliability of large teams of porters. Their final photographs show three figures filled with a determined confidence, posing before the vast, unknown green wall they were about to enter. From the moment they vanished into the foliage, the jungle began its relentless assault. This was not an adventure, it was a trial of survival. The heat was a physical weight, and the air itself felt thick enough to drink. Clouds of mosquitoes carried malaria and yellow fever, their bites a constant, maddening torment. Every step was a battle against thorny vines, swamps that tried to swallow them whole, and the ever-present threat of starvation as their carefully packed rations dwindled. Beyond the physical suffering was a deeper, psychological dread. The jungle was a place of profound isolation and silence, broken only by unsettling, unfamiliar sounds. They knew hostile tribes watched their every move from the shadows, tribes who had every reason to distrust these armed outsiders trespassing on their land. Fawcett's messages back to civilization, carried out by native runners at great intervals, became his only tether to the world. These communications grew fewer, the gaps between them stretching longer, each note a little more strained than the last. And then, from a place called Dead Horse Camp, a final, hopeful letter arrived. In it, Fawcett wrote, "We hope to get through this region in a few days. You need have no fear of any failure." It was the last the outside world would ever hear from them. After that, there was only a crushing, impenetrable silence. That silence from the jungle did not go unnoticed for long. As months stretched into a year with no word, the outside world finally understood that Colonel Percy Fawcett and his party were not just delayed, they were gone. The realization sparked a firestorm of speculation and launched what would become one of the most extensive manhunts in the entire history of exploration. Over the next few decades, more than 100 separate expeditions, large and small, plunged into the Amazon with a single desperate goal: to find out what happened to the legendary explorer. The results were almost uniformly tragic. Many of these rescuers vanished without a trace themselves. Others stumbled out of the Green Wall, forever broken in body and spirit, telling horrific tales of disease, starvation, and attacks. So many people died in the search for Fawcett that the Amazon itself earned a grim new nickname, the Green Hell. With each failed mission, the mystery only deepened, and a host of theories flourished to fill the void of facts. Was the small party killed by a hostile tribe protecting its territory? It was a logical and terrifyingly common end for outsiders in that region. Did they simply succumb to the jungle's relentless brutality, falling to a tropical fever or the slow agony of starvation? Or, as a more romantic and persistent theory suggested, did Fawcett actually find his lost city? Did he and the boys choose to stay, assimilating into a hidden civilization and severing all ties with the modern world? This captivating mystery transcended mere news. It became a global cultural phenomenon, a blank canvas upon which the world could project its own fantasies of adventure and hidden worlds. The story of the explorer who vanished inspired countless articles, books, and later, major motion pictures, cementing Percy Fawcett not just as a man, but as an enduring legend. Yet beneath all the speculation and glamour lay a cold, hard truth. Fawcett was gone, and with him, the proof of the city he so desperately believed was real. The very jungle that consumed him seemed to mock the idea that a great civilization could ever have existed there at all. For nearly a century, the legend of the lost city of Z was dismissed as pure fantasy, a fatal delusion that consumed a great explorer. Then, modern science began to peel back the jungle floor, and a stunning new picture of the ancient Amazon started to emerge. Archaeologists, armed with satellite imagery and laser scanning technology known as LiDAR, made a series of breathtaking discoveries. They found that vast regions of the Amazon, long thought to be untouched wilderness, were actually the carefully managed gardens of a lost world. In places like the Xingu region, the very area Fawcett had been exploring, researchers uncovered the remnants of enormous settlements. These were not just small villages, but complex societies connected by wide, straight roads and sophisticated networks of canals and bridges. They built massive circular earthworks and geometric ditches on a scale that could only have been created by a large, organized population. The most compelling evidence came from a site known as Kiwikugu. Here, scientists found the foundations of a civilization that could have supported tens of thousands of people. They lived in large towns, engineered the landscape to farm fertile soil, and managed the forest in ways that sustained them for generations. This was the final, definitive proof that the pristine wilderness myth was wrong. The Amazon had, in fact, been a bustling, populous place, home to the very kind of advanced civilization Fawcett had described. This revelation forces us to ask a haunting new question. Percy Fawcett did not die for a myth. He died for a truth that the world was not yet ready to accept. Is it possible that his final, desperate journey brought him to the outskirts of a real, tangible lost city? A place like Kiwikugu, hidden just beyond the next river, waiting silently in the green shadows. Percy Fawcett's story is the ultimate paradox of discovery. He vanished into the jungle, a man consumed by his own quest, and in his failure, he left behind a legend so powerful it would not let the truth remain hidden. His obsession, which seemed like a tragic flaw, became a beacon that guided scientists nearly a century later to the very reality he had envisioned. He gave his life, and the lives of his son and his friend, for a city he called Z, never knowing that his sacrifice would one day force the world to see the Amazon not as an empty wilderness, but as a cradle of ancient civilization. This is the haunting nature of exploration at its most extreme. It is not just about finding what is lost. It is about believing in something so completely that even your disappearance becomes a part of the map, a clue for those who follow. Some truths are so deeply buried that they demand a great sacrifice to be revealed. Fawcett paid that price in full. His legacy is a question that now echoes far beyond the Amazon. What other lost cities, what other forgotten worlds, are still waiting in the remote corners of our planet, shrouded by desert sands or dense forests, their stories silent until another curious mind dares to look? What do you believe was Percy Fawcett's final fate? Did he fall to the jungle's dangers, or did he walk into the ruins of a city he alone believed was real, only to be lost to time? Share your own theories in the comments below, and subscribe for more tales of the world's greatest historical mysteries.